Welcome back to WrestleSpective, the place for all your obscure, lost, and defunct wrestling needs. World of Sport Wrestling. For older fans in the UK, it was a golden age. Saturday afternoon grappling, stars that were household names, and that classic British style that became known as the World of Sport style. But after the glory days ended in the 1980s, fans spent years clamoring for the return of the iconic show. And in the 2010s, it did. Several times, actually. Today we're looking at the full story, from the 2013 pilot, to the 2016 special, to the full ITV series, its collapse, and the mysterious 2024 revival that still hasn't aired. This is the story of the chaotic resurrection of World of Sport Wrestling. We begin in 2013, when ITV quietly filmed a pilot to test whether British wrestling could return to mainstream TV. For a more in-depth history of World of Sport's original incarnation, I recommend checking out my DCW episode covering joint promotions, from way back in Season 1. But very quickly, World of Sport was a general sports show on ITV in the 60s and 70s, with its most popular segments being pro wrestling matches. Eventually, ITV spun the wrestling off into its own show, simply titled Professional Wrestling. The stars of this return? The Knight family. Yup, the same family that the documentary Fighting With My Family was based on. You know, Paige's family.
Paige here.
The special featured Carl Kramer vs. Haken, Burgos vs. John Ritchie, Alan Lee Travis vs. Joey Legend for the LDN British Heavyweight title, Johnny Kidd vs. Matt Striker, and Zack Knight vs. Zebra Kid. And probably most importantly about the pilot, it stuck to the classic British rules. 2 out of 3 falls, multiple rounds, exactly what older fans remembered. But the biggest problem for the show? The production. Compared to WWE and TNA, both massively popular in the UK at the time, the show looked exactly what it was: cheap. The venue was dark and dingy, with the audience almost completely blacked out. Even though 800 fans attended, visually it looked like only maybe 50 people were there. Despite airing as a 2-hour special, ITV didn't pick it up. And that might have been the end, if not for 2016. In October 2016, news broke that the brand was coming back, again. This time headed by longtime promoters Harvey and Martin Goldsmith. They had history. They had connections. And ITV wanted a family-friendly sports entertainment program. ITV declared in a press release, WOS Wrestling will see some of the UK's top names in the sport compete in a fun-filled afternoon of family sports entertainment. Early names announced included El Ligero, Viper, and even Jim Ross on commentary. The 2-hour special aired on New Year's Eve 2016, drawing just over 1 million viewers. But internally, ITV considered that number a disappointment. And the critics weren't very quiet about the show's issues. Many felt it strayed far from the traditional World of Sport style. Instead of mat-based grappling, the show felt overproduced, more like a polished American product than the classic World of Sport identity. Even with the mixed reaction, the special did have plenty of star power. Rampage Brown, Zach Gibson, Harry Smith, and a main event where Grado defeated Dave Mastiff to win the World of Sport Championship. Regardless of the mixed feelings of the final product, it was successful enough for ITV to take the next step. A full series. In March 2017, ITV went all in. They announced a full 10-episode series. A press conference followed featuring ITV's Tom McLennan, Impact Wrestling's Jeff Jarrett and Ed Nordholm, and talents like Magnus, Ligero, Grado, and others. This partnership with Impact was seen as a huge move, and a potential headache for WWE. I mean, some of TNA and Impact's biggest crowds were events in the UK. I remember at one point there were even rumors that Impact might become UK-based. So yeah, having some Impact stars on World of Sport cards was bound to help the show's draw. And any sort of competition in a market that WWE isn't as powerful in is going to be a headache for them. Episodes were planned to film in May 2017 at Preston Guild Hall, but contractual disputes delayed everything. The show never aired in 2017. It wasn't until May 2018 that tapings finally happened, and the series premiered on Saturday, July 28, 2018 at 5 p.m. The debut episode averaged 900,000 viewers, peaking at 1.2 million. It was the highest-rated wrestling TV series in the UK in 30 years. The roster included Joe Hendry, Martin Kirby, Kaylee Ray, Kip Sabian, Will Ospreay, and more. And overall, the in-ring quality was generally strong. But not everything landed. Newer fans got confused by the match formats. Others felt the booking was aimed at children. One reviewer summed up a September 2018 episode by saying, "This show is meant for either a person who never watches wrestling or a kid who doesn't notice the major flaws in booking and structure." Despite this, the series did build some intrigue, especially when the heel Rampage won the World of Sport title in a triple threat match. In October 2018, a licensing website hinted that World of Sport would run live events in 2019. And sure enough, they actually did. January and February 2019 saw the World of Sport live tour hit packed rooms across the UK. The wrestling was good, the crowds were lively. It looked like World of Sport finally had momentum. But things were about to crash, and fast. After a strong premiere, TV ratings fell quickly, and by the finale only about 200,000 viewers were left. After which ITV pulled the plug. No second series, no formal goodbye, just like that, the reboot was over. But many think an American company may have helped speed up its demise. Just weeks after the 2016 World of Sport special, WWE suddenly became very interested in the UK scene. They launched the UK Championship Tournament in Blackpool, featuring many of Britain's top wrestlers, who WWE previously had no interest in. They signed the entire roster to 5-figure contracts. Wrestlers could still work independents, but those deals conveniently kept them away from any future ITV product. Many fans and insiders saw this as a move to undermine World of Sport before it could get off the ground. And it certainly didn't help the reboot at all. The story could have ended there, WWE wiping out another potential competitor. But the story doesn't end there. In November 2022, rumors spread that World of Sport might return again. And in June 2024, it was made official. There was one catch. ITV owned the World of Sport trademark, and they were now partners with AEW. So the company rebranded as WOS Wrestling. The commentary team would feature the delightful Tom Campbell alongside SoCal Val. The return shows were taped on September 14th, 2024 at Epic Studios in Norwich, the same venue used years earlier. On Christmas Eve 2024, WOS Wrestling released a teaser for the show, featuring Bullet, Alex Windsor, Grado, and more. As of this recording, not a single episode has aired on social media or their website, despite the fact that edited shows almost certainly exist. The revival is complete, but the world still hasn't seen it. World of Sport Wrestling is one of the strangest comeback stories in wrestling history. A legendary brand, a promising revival, canceled series, successful tours, and now a mysterious return again that still hasn't been released. But if World of Sport has proven anything over the last decade, it's that it simply refuses to stay dead. And who knows, maybe one day we'll finally see that 2024 taping. Let me know any thoughts you have about World of Sport Wrestling and all of its various incarnations in the comments. And as always, feel free to suggest other video topics. Don't forget you can support the channel by subscribing or finding me on social media, either here or here. I'm Scott from WrestleSpective. Watch wrestling, love wrestling, thanks for watching.